I want to start by welcoming everyone to our middle school information night. My name is Dan Deguara, and I'm the proud superintendent of the Belmont-Redwood Shores School District. And thank you for joining us this evening. We can go to the next slide, Jerome. Perfect. So tonight you're going to hear us many times say there's 3 unique options with 1 great fit for your child. We are fortunate to have 3 amazing middle school programs in BRSSD, one at Nesbit, one at Ralston, and one at Sandpiper. Each of our 3 middle school programs offer excellent standards-based academic programs, engaging extracurricular options, social emotional support and development, positive school climate and connection, and regardless of which school that your child attends, they will have a fantastic education, leaving BRSSD prepared for private schools, for Karl Mott, you name it, our kiddos are prepared for their high school journey. Next slide, please, Jerome. I am just going to review a couple of important dates to remember, important items before I turn it over to our amazing team. First off, if you are new to Belmont-Redwood Shores School District coming in for 6th grade, remember first thing that you need to do is complete the enrollment process. That is all online this year. There's information on our district website. Please access brssd.org for more information on that. I'd like to note that in February, on February 4th for Sandpiper and February 5th for Nesbit, we're going to have site-specific information nights for those 2 programs. All of our 3 middle schools have a strong core program that is similar across all 3. Sandpiper and Nesbit, also being our smaller programs, have a little additional component, more information on that at each of those information nights. And principals will talk a little bit about that tonight, but go into detail when they meet on February 4th and 5th. And then finally, for all of our current 5th grade families, we will be sending out an email on February 7th to select your middle school preferences, your 1st, 2nd, and 3rd preference. That form is due on February 21st. If you don't receive that in your inbox, please check your spam box. Sometimes they go directly to spam. But no worries, there's no rush to fill that out as long as you get it completed by February 21st. And then we plan on sending out middle school assignments at the beginning of April. April 4th is our target date. For all new students, however, that will take place in the middle of June. And then finally, before middle school starts, the fall starts, each of our school sites will have orientations in August for our students, and that gets their middle school journey started. Now, real quick, I'd like to go ahead and introduce each of our middle school principals and their support staff. We have Gloria Higgins joining us from Sandpiper.
Hi,
we
everyone.
have Ryan Hansen-Vera and Christina Spicker from Nesbit.
Go Pumas! Pumas. Hi, everyone.
And from Ralston, we have Sabrina Adler, joined by her assistant principals, Patrick Wilson and Kelly Jorgensen. Welcome. And then finally, we also have our Director of Special Programs, Jenny Payne, joining us to talk a little bit about special programs in middle school. Before I fully turn it over, I do want to mention we are using the Q&A function of the Zoom. I see a couple of you have already discovered that feature. Feel free to put in your questions. We will do our best to answer them here just in time. If we don't get to your questions, we will post a FAQ that will accompany the recording of the middle school presentation that will be posted on our website. So without further ado, I'm going to turn it over to Ryan, principal of Nesbit School. Ryan?
Hi, everybody. I am Ryan Hansen, the proud principal at Nesbit School, and I'm going to actually pass this to the amazing assistant principal, Christina Spicker.
Ryan. Hi, everyone. Hope you're all having a great evening. Thanks for joining us tonight. I get the pleasure of introducing the wonderful, helpful, and supportive people that you will get to meet should you become a Puma and your child attend Nesbit with us. You've already met Ryan, our amazing principal. We do have one school counselor on site. His name is Paul Lusich. He's been with us for a few years now, and he is wonderful, a great wealth of information and support. And he really does a great job of connecting with all of our students and with families as well. So you can look forward to meeting him. Our office team consists of Linda Fonseca, our administrative assistant, and Susan Wilson, who's our student services secretary. They are there to answer every possible question you might have, to help you with anything that you might need, and are just there to really be that welcoming force when you come into the office. Elena Barriga is our parent outreach and school liaison person in our office. She is fluent in Spanish, and so we are very lucky to have her and love having her around. She's also wonderful and really supportive and is there to answer anything that you might need. We also have our school nurse, Luna, who takes wonderful care of all of our students and manages anything medical related in the office. So that's who you will come across. There we are in our beautiful picture. Should you end up with us at Nesbit, we're all looking forward to meeting you, and hopefully seeing many of you at our Nesbit specific presentation in February. Thank you.
Hi, everyone. I'm Sabrina Adler. I'm the principal here at Ralston. I'm joined tonight by Kelly Jorgensen and Patrick Wilson, my two assistant principals. We're very excited and proud. This is our 4th year together and looking forward to next year. Our counseling team consists of 3 counselors. We have 1 per grade level. Fayla Marie is in actually the center of that picture to the right there. Brittany Jollyvet is our 7th grade counselor. She's all the way on the right there. And then Lisa Kafka is our 8th grade counselor who's on the left there. And we pair an admin and a counselor with each grade level, and they loop all the way through with our students. So we really get to know the students in the larger environment. Supporting us in the office, we have Claudia Velasquez, who is one of our administrative assistants and is bilingual. Audrey Payne, our administrative assistant, who mostly takes care of attendance. And Terry Delgadillo, who is our student services secretary.
Good evening, everyone. It's so lovely to see all of you here tonight. I am Gloria Higgins. I am the very proud principal of Sandpiper School. Stephanie Scala, our amazing assistant principal, was not able to be here tonight, but you will definitely meet her, as well as the teachers from our middle school on our individual night on February 4th. We're very, very lucky to have an amazing team of educators and support staff in our office. Our counselor is Anisha Ramani. She has been with us for 3 years and is truly amazing. Carmen Rogers and Leslie McGuire are our administrative assistant and our student services secretary. They are here to help you in the front office with any questions that you might have. Definitely looking forward to seeing you again soon. We're going to talk a little bit about curriculum and instruction tonight, and you can see here that we have some core curriculum in each of the major content areas. All of our schools are standards-based with California Common Core standards, and all of the curriculum that we use is aligned to those standards. In ELA, we use a Readers Writers Workshop model at Nesbit and Sandpiper. Ralston uses StudySync for their ELA program. Sandpiper also uses StudySync just a little bit. We started doing that this year. In math, again, we are Common Core state standards aligned. All of our schools have the opportunity for students to take Algebra 1 in 8th grade, and that core content area is supported with CMP3 or Desmos as the curriculum. For history, we all use Teachers Curriculum Institute or TCI. We all use STEM Scopes for science, and our social emotional learning curriculum is Wayfinder.
Physical education is a big part of the middle school program. Each of us is going to share how PE works at each of our respective sites. At Nesbit, PE takes place 7th period, 4 days a week. Our classes are led by our core classroom teachers, and we also do have support from La Garza coaches. And PE is a mix. It's an opportunity for our 6th through 8th graders to mix up in non-grade level specific groups. It's a great way for them to develop socially and to make great connections with one another. Our PE groupings change. We like to keep those flexible rotations happening, and really the focus is on health and well-being. And that is our PE program. I'll pass it on to Ralston.
Physical education at Ralston, the students meet regular class periods for students 4 days per week, and those are 54-minute classes. They dress out in their PE uniforms for each one of those classes in the locker rooms. We have 5 credentialed PE teachers on staff, and we rotate units. Units can be 4 weeks to 6 weeks long, a lot of different units, from archery to basketball to football to dancing. So we'll just move on to Sandpiper.
Thank you, Kelly. At Sandpiper, we have a credentialed PE coach who supports all of our middle school students. We have, and you'll see in a little bit, a block schedule. So PE happens twice weekly for 110 minutes each time. That doesn't mean the kids are out there doing calisthenics for 110 minutes. Our groupings do change every trimester because they oppose the electives, so students get to choose those. Coach Van Laar has a focus on fitness, nutrition. He talks about some select health topics, and he really works with the kids on setting and monitoring their own goals. That's our focus for PE at Sandpiper.
So homeroom is something that is also unique to all 3 of our middle school programs at Nesbit. Homeroom takes place every Wednesday. It is an extension of what is a school-wide practice of morning gathering, where our entire school site gathers each morning for a kickoff message for the day. A big part of homeroom is the building of those restorative practices. So community circle is factored into our homeroom. It's also a place where we focus on our social emotional learning curriculum. We also do things like student announcements and announce the spirit days and all of those fun middle school activities. It's a great time also for our counselor to do some push-in and check-in support. We do periodic grade reviews and help students calculate their GPAs and make sure they're staying on top of all of the things that are required of them. And then lastly, for 8th grade, it is really a big focus on high school preparation. So homeroom is a pretty active part of our program. Ralston?
Our homeroom is tied to our first period class. You'll see on the bell schedule when we get to that slide, it's in the same color. The different periods are color coded. So it is our first period class. We have embedded a 23-minute period this year for SEL to do the Wayfinder curriculum and other things that are pertinent to helping our students be well-rounded. We use this time to introduce things with our positive behavior interventions and supports. We have announcements. Our student government class helps to lead us with door decorating competitions. They count spirit days, the number of kids dressed up, do all sorts of fun practice for our lunchtime competitions, and we do community circles. So it's a busy time throughout each week.
At Sandpiper, homeroom is the first 10 minutes of every day, and we spend that time either with some morning meeting, just general social emotional learning, building relationships with students. It's also the opportunity students have to eat breakfast if they so choose. We do have a weekly assembly every Wednesday, and some of the other things that we address in homeroom are our PBIS, or that positive behavior interventions and supports, and student announcements, whether that's different clubs that students are involved in, or if our student council has some announcements to share for Spirit Days.
Okay, so middle school scheduling is probably the biggest transition your incoming 6th grader is going to have to experience. And let me tell you, each of us has a very intricate scheduling system. But the important thing to know as a new middle school parent, the schedule is for your child. They will learn it. There are adults on campus that are going to help them get through it. And if they miss something, don't worry, we will reach out to you. Nesbit, like Ralston and Sandpiper, do have rotating schedules. At Nesbit School, students are rotating through a series of courses. We offer language and literature, individuals and societies, mathematics, science, language acquisition, which is a Spanish class. They have an elective, and then PE. Nesbit School is an international baccalaureate middle years program. So you'll notice that some of our course titles have a unique kind of titling. We'll give you more details on that if you choose to come to our info session in February. But the most important thing to notice here about our schedule is it does have a rotating day. Students are rotating through different classes each day of the week. There is a pattern to this, but this is factoring in our IB curriculum, as well as that students at Nesbit School, grades 6th, 7th, and 8th, take language acquisition as a content area class. So it's part of, just like they take reading, writing, and math, they are also taking Spanish as a core content area. So our schedule factors that in. You'll notice, just as I mentioned about homeroom, that Wednesdays, that's a real moment, a real great time in the week to check in with a strong homeroom period. We end our days with elective and PE rotations. Nesbit also has a regular and a minimum day schedule, so we've listed those there for you to review.
As Ryan said, please don't get scared. The students adjust very well to schedule. So you can see Ralston's has this purple period, that period 7 that wanders all over the place and replaces a period. Again, the students really do get used to the class schedule. So as you'll see, each class meets 4 times per week. And it's about a 54-minute period most days. And then you've got that floating purple 7th. And we added that little SEL 23-minute block that I mentioned at the beginning of Wednesdays for our Wayfinder curriculum. We are a comprehensive middle school, so our students mix and match every single period. So they do not travel together in a pack. There are typically around 375 6th graders, and they can have classes at different times. So for example, some kids have PE first period, some kids have math, some have electives, et cetera, et cetera. So lots of different options and permutations of schedules, but again, they get used to it and like that they get to move around and move to new classrooms each period. In 6th grade, they will have 6 teachers and 7 in 7th and 8th grade.
So at Sandpiper, we have a double block schedule, which gives us some really terrific flexibility. Teachers can either choose to hold a long class that is great for going into deeper exploration, or they can break up the chunk of their block into shorter focused lessons. So it really does give the teachers some great flexibility. It means that our students are having each class twice per week for twice as long. So the instructional minutes end up being the same. It's just kind of packaged a little bit differently. What you're looking at here is what a sample schedule would look like. So it could be your student, could be another student. Before school, I'm very happy to announce that we will be adding a world language opportunity. Priority for that will be for our 8th graders, but as we have space, 7th and 6th graders may be able to join in with that. We also do have an optional before school strings or band course once a week. Then you see our homeroom period every day. And then your student might participate in, actually all students participate in quest time in that morning block on Mondays. Then they might have math and then their elective. And then you'll see on the next day, they'll have science, history, and ELA will come in there twice a week as well. So again, as Ryan and Sabrina said, the students really do get used to the schedule and they really do have a very good time with it.
Okay, so we are going to share a little bit about all the jazz that makes middle school fun, and those are the electives. And Nesbit has a great opportunity for students to experience one elective per trimester. The first trimester at Nesbit is really important. All students, grades 6, 7, and 8, engage in a class called IB 101. It is a way for them to engage in projects around our International Baccalaureate, understand deeply the program that they are a part of and feel a lot of pride around that program. Then our elective rotations include leadership, a graphic design, a social media literacy course, fine arts, STEM, and a financial literacy class. It's important to note that part of our International Baccalaureate requires that each student participates in 50 hours per year of a design and arts course. So we've intentionally woven in those hours into not only our core courses, but our elective time. So those requirements are met, and it also just enhances our program features. Ralston?
At Ralston, for sixth graders, we have 5 different options for electives. Most sixth graders are going to be in the wheel program, which is, I think of it as kind of like a taste test of the overall elective program. Sixth graders will rotate, and they'll have 4 different wheel classes per year, 1 per quarter, where it's just a smaller version of the 7th and 8th grade electives that they may choose the following years. And a lot of students use that to inform their decision when they're deciding which electives they're going to choose. If your sixth grader is not in wheel, they might be in sixth grade band, orchestra, or choir. I'll talk more about that on the next slide. Or they might also be in an academic support class. If your student will be new to Ralston next year and is in a seventh or 8th grader, they would have 2 periods of electives, and that's because 6th graders have 2 periods of English, and then 7th and 8th graders just have the 1, so they get an extra elective period. There's a variety of electives here. It's a super well-rounded program, very robust, and I think a lot of our students come away after 8th grade with really finding a passion through the elective program. Lots of different things to try. There are both semester and year-long options, which many students enjoy.
At Sandpiper, we offer 1 elective per trimester for students, and you can see the choices there. So I'm imagining most of you are 6th grade or entering 6th grade families. So you could see their digital arts, cultural arts, culinary arts, or music survey. Our electives do change every year based on staffing and credentialing. That would be true at all the sites, so that's something to keep in mind. But we do want to give students a robust menu of choices. Something else that's unique to Sandpiper is our intercession, and that happens twice a year as students explore topics during our conference weeks. Those may be topics in music or art or technology. And our general framework for setting up our electives is that there's always a humanities and always a tech option, or maybe kind of like a skill-based option each trimester.
Music and art is also a great enhancement to each of our programs. At Nesbit, we host band and strings weekly. It's hosted during 7th period. It's an opt-in opportunity for our students who like to participate. Art is provided by LEAP. It is a district program that we implement art lessons every month. We also have that fine arts elective. And again, the International Baccalaureate requirement is that art content is embedded throughout our program. So every single one of our content areas has an art specific element so that students are experiencing that type of discipline throughout their learning time. Austin?
As I mentioned before, at Ralston, the music program is a part of the elective program, which means students will meet with their music class 4 times per week. There are 3 levels, skill levels for each of the classes. So there's band, orchestra, and choir. 6th graders all come into the 6th grade version of that class. And then from there, there is an audition which determines where they might be placed in the following years. They are year-long electives, which means if you're a 6th grader, that's your elective for the year. However, if you're 7th or 8th grader, you can take an elective in addition to music. As far as art, it is part of the wheel for 6th grade, and it is also an elective option for 7th and 8th graders, both a semester-based or year-long based art course. Sandpiper?
Thanks, Patrick. Similar to Nesbit, our music program at Sandpiper is an optional weekly before school strings or band opportunity. We also have music survey elective in 6th grade and several intersession music options. This past trimester, we had ukulele. In art, again, monthly lessons provided by LEAP, similar to Nesbit, and several arts electives like 3D arts, graphic arts. We also have cultural arts, and again, some intersession arts options.
Athletics, as you can imagine, is also a big enticing part of middle school. And I think that throughout the years, it's been wonderful seeing how our teams have participated in all kinds of sporting events. Sandpiper and Nesbit get to team up together, and sometimes we even play and maybe beat Ralston. Just kidding, go Rams. For Nesbit School, we offer a joint team of flag football, a joint team of cross country, basketball, and volleyball.
At Ralston, we have a variety of sports that rotate throughout the year. We do have basketball, volleyball, cross country, track and field, golf, tennis, and soccer.
And at Sandpiper, thank you, Ryan. We do share some wonderful flag football and cross country teams. It's really great to be able to play with another school. We also have volleyball, basketball, and tennis at Sandpiper. And then again, similar to our elective situation, our sports may change depending on coaching availability and interest. And we are very collaborative as a team of middle schools. If a sport is not offered at a particular school, students are eligible to try out for it at other sites if it is offered there.
Clubs and activities are really important at all three of our middle schools. At Nesbit, we try really hard to listen to what our students are interested in. If a club or something that they desire to form comes up, our teaching staff is more than happy to support them. Right now, we're hosting a board game club, very popular. Leadership, robotics. We offer after-school support 2 times a week, which also functions as a club. We have community service, and community service is also another mandatory component for our 8th graders. We have lunch buddies, campus events, outside mentoring and coaching, Puma families, and lots of other fun activities for students to keep active before and after school. Ralston?
At Ralston, as you can see, we have a lot of clubs and activities going on, and it tends to grow every year. Right now, we're offering Art Club, Black and Latino Student Union, Chess Club, Dungeons and Dragons Club, which actually just started today, really popular. Our Homework Club, which meets in the mornings and afternoons on Tuesdays and Thursdays. Gardening Club, maker clubs like a maker space, Rubik's Cube Club, Robotics Club, Saga Club, Math Olympiads, Math Counts, our school musical, our web, which is run also by our student government, our lunchtime competitions, and lunchtime intramurals. And these are happening before school, during snack, during lunch, and after school.
At Sandpiper, many of the same kinds of clubs. We have a very robust robotics club. Theater, we're really looking forward to a Moana this spring. We do have a leadership team, student leadership team, that's actually 5th through 8th grade. It's very nice to kind of bridge that elementary and middle school year. Many clubs that you can see there: Art Club, Garden Club, Mileage Club starting soon. And similar to the other schools, if a student has an interest and we have a mentor or a teacher or a volunteer, we're more than happy to host a club.
We're going to transition now talking about student supports. So it's important to understand that BRSSD embraces a multi-tiered support framework, which means that our students with 504s and IEPs are fully included and supported in our programs, and each school does this in a little bit of a unique way. Each school is going to share how we support our students, and then our amazing Jenny Payne is going to share with us some information about IEPs. So first at Nesbit, we have a learning center model with an ed specialist and a paraeducator support team. We really work on a push-in and co-teaching model. Our support services are pushed into the classroom. We focus on directed studies and a study skills class. We have co-taught 7th and 8th grade classes. We also have English and language support services for our students that are multilingual learners that require additional reading support, mastering English. We offer those supports during their school day. And then of course, we offer counseling support. It's a tier 1 support for all of our students. Ralston?
Our special ed classes work a little bit differently at Ralston. They're called RSP classes, resource classes, taught by typically the case manager of the grade. And they are just part of the daily schedule. So students are not pulled out. So for example, if they are in RSP math, which typically an RSP class will have less students, around 10 to 15, they will have math just like their other peers are in social studies, or they're in math, or they're in science. So it's just one of their periods on the schedule. Same thing for the language arts classes that are smaller. They are just at the same time as everybody else. They have 2 periods, as Mr. Wilson mentioned, for language arts in 6th grade, 1 in 7th grade. We also in 7th and 8th grade offer a co-taught ELA class. So what that means is there's a general ed teacher and a special ed teacher in the room co-teaching together. This is much like the high school model. It is a general ed class, so there are general ed students without IEPs and IEP students mixed in there together, just like a regular class, and just there's a little bit of extra support. We also offer as an elective academic support classes of directed studies, which is typically the RSP special ed version, which is a time to get academic support, work on executive functioning, etc. And then the general ed version of that is study skills, which we have 504 students in there and our gen ed students as well. We also offer intervention classes as an elective or an equivalent class for students. So we have ELA and math support classes, but we also offer them as smaller intervention classes, again, equivalent to a regular language arts class or a regular math class. We have a number of newcomers and ELD students as well. So we do have a double block English language arts class for those students to really hone in on those skills and get what they need to meet their needs. As I mentioned earlier, there is 1 counselor per grade level, and they get to know the students and do a little check-in with each one right at the beginning of the year so that they all feel comfortable getting to know them and know where they can be found.
At Sandpiper, our goal is always, like the other middle schools as well, to support students in the general education classroom as much as possible. We do have a reading/language specialist who is able to support students who may have need for a little extra help in either of those areas. Similarly, our counselor is available to all of our students based on need and ability to check in. In our middle school, our teachers offer a weekly alternative learning lab. That is an opportunity for students to get guidance and support, check in on missing assignments, make sure that our grades are all in from their classroom teachers. When a student has a more intensive need or a more specialized learning need, we have a learning center model with an ed specialist and a paraeducator who either push into classrooms or pull a student out, depending on the need, into the learning center. We also host at Sandpiper a middle school SDC or special day class for students with intensive needs. If that is you, we are excited to have your student joining us.
All right, good evening. I'm here to talk about what to expect in a transition IEPs for our students with IEPs. I always start with transition, all transition, even with a little t, ends with a beginning. As you all know, your 5th graders, whether there's moving to another school or moving from the same school, in the case of Sandpiper and Nesbit from 5th to 6th grade, we should hold. It's a best practice to hold what we call a transition IEP. What is a transition IEP? Transition IEP is a warm handoff between your child's current school or current providers and the new school where they will be attending, to make sure that IEP services are aligned and ensure that your students' needs are met at the school. The IEP meeting is held for around 45 minutes. It's not a long IEP. You want to review the goals, supplementary aids, services, and other supports. And in that time, that's when the IEP team will reflect, will update your child's minutes so that it aligns with the school's bell schedule, because the elementary schedule is usually different than our middle school schedule. Now, if the IEP team is considering a change in placement, meaning from RSP to a special day class, or even special day class to RSP, we would ask for our team, IEP team, to offer an assessment plan to you to make sure that we assess your child on what they need and it's current. The assessment is current and they will use that to consider your child's needs for a need for a lesser restrictive environment or a more restrictive environment. Next slide, please. Oh, I'm sorry. In the transition IEP, we do not want to change the goals or services of your child without that assessment. So again, if there's no change in LRE, they should not be changed. It should be reviewed on how they will meet those goals and how they will serve those minutes, but no changes should be done without an assessment. Next slide. Who should attend the IEP, the transition IEP? We should expect, obviously, for you as parents and ed rights holder to be invited to the meeting and should be part of that meeting. The special education and the general education teacher from the new or the receiving site should attend. All the related service providers and the administrator of or admin designee, preferably the administrator of the receiving school. I put in here what are the expectations for our sixth graders. Generally, I was a middle school teacher for 11 years, and there's a big change, right? Our students are used to 1 to 2 teachers in elementary, and suddenly in middle school, at the minimum 2, even 4, 5, 6 teachers, and they could be changing from period to period. And class periods are usually periods based for our middle school, and our students are generally placed in GE for PE and electives. Thank you.
So as Mr. Deguara mentioned at the beginning of our webinar, we do have 3 unique options and 1 great fit for your student in BRSSD. We're going to take a few minutes to go a little more deeply into each school, and I think we start with Nesbit.
Hi there. So one thing that I want to share with you about Nesbit is in the front of our school, there is a very important sign. It says, "Welcome all abilities, all religions, all orientations, all colors. Love lives here." And that's the most important thing that we want our incoming 6th graders to know about our school, that however you arrive, we will take care of you and we will help you on your journey. So at Nesbit, we really pride ourselves. The beauty of our middle school program is that because of our smaller environment, we can really lean into personalization. We work very hard to diversify our instruction and to modify with flexible groupings for all of our learners. We want to make sure that our program is accessible for all. Our approach, the approach that our teachers are focused on is about empowerment and about supporting and inspiring our students. We want our students to develop the social competencies that they will need in order to thrive. And then lastly, our philosophy is that we are student-centered. Every decision that we make, every choice, every change, all is because of our students, and they come first. And our teachers really work on developing curriculum that is engaging so that our students feel connected not only to the content, but to their teacher. And that's a little bit about Nesbit School. So something else to consider is that Nesbit School is an international baccalaureate middle years program. Say that 3 times fast. And I see in the Q&A that lots of people are asking, what is an international baccalaureate? I really hope you'll join our session in February so we could go through all of those details. But an international baccalaureate is a framework that we follow that helps us up our academic rigor and our student engagement. And an important thing to know is that there are 10 learner profile attributes that we are focused on at Nesbit School. We want our students to be balanced and open-minded, risk takers, knowledgeable thinkers. And we also employ 5 approaches to learning so that our students are really thinking about their communication, their self-management, their social skills, their research, and that they are solutionaries. They are identifying problems. They're learning all the ways that they could put solutions to those problems, and then they're going out in their communities and making a difference. We want them to know that the things they're learning now will impact tomorrow.
All right, Ralston, go Rams. One of the big focuses at Ralston is to make sure that we have well-rounded programs and that students are having fun. Middle school is a really difficult time for students as they go through puberty. They're testing boundaries. They're trying to figure out who they are. So we do put a lot of emphasis into social programming and making sure that we address the interests of all sorts of different student types, whether it's our elective program, our clubs and groups, or our different grade level social events and dances, and then specific programs in each grade level. What we've chosen to highlight here, because we know that math is of great interest to a number of families, is our math pathways here. So you'll see that in 6th grade, some of our students are in our Common Core class, our grade level class, or they're in our accelerated program in our 6 AS advanced standing class. Then from there, you can see there's typical pathways with the maroon colored arrows, but there are dotted lines and ways to get from one place to another. So there is movement. There often is even movement during the year. Our math department is really on top of things and they constantly watch for that growth mindset. So it isn't uncommon, for example, for a student to start in 6 CC and we are making changes all the way up through the first semester and right at the semester. So lots of opportunities. And then as you can see, we have opportunities in 8th grade for our students to take geometry and start high school in Algebra 2 Trig. Kelly and Patrick, would you like to chime in?
Yeah, so at Ralston, I just really, first thing I noticed when I got here was just how well-rounded a lot of our students are. And so when you think about the academics, of course, they're strong in our district. But I do think, all 3 schools do provide lots of the extras, the things that make school fun, the things that make students excited to come to school, those electives and clubs. As Ms. Adler said, the opportunities to meet new people and different people than yourself, something that really shines here at Ralston and all the schools in our district.
And I'll echo what Mr. Wilson said as well, is that just, the 3 unique options and just finding that fit of where your student really is going to, find their way and their pathway. But yeah, I mean, they're gonna find their way, but Ralston, it's a big place with a lot of different things going on.
Yeah, students will find their group, their people,
Yeah.
because there are a lot of different people and options. And if
Mm.
you're interested in learning a little bit more about some of our new programs this year, we are presenting at the board meeting this Thursday night. So you can tune in either in person or via Zoom via the district website, school board link, and you can learn about some of our new things that we are up to this year.
All right. You're going to have to hold me back a little bit. I love to talk about Sandpiper School. It is a very special place. You can see there are a lot of the reasons why. Jerome, can you just go one more slide? At Sandpiper, we are really aligned to our district learner profile, and we have some signature practices that we use to make sure that our students leave our school system with critical thinking skills, with innovation skills, and they are empowered to advocate for themselves and others. At Sandpiper, we address those learner outcomes through some signature practices. One is around metacognition and making sure that our students are able to regulate their own cognition and engage in some thinking routines. So they're paying attention to all those executive functioning skills that live right there in the front of your brain. As it relates to innovation, we have a big focus on design thinking. That shows up in middle school during our quest time, during our intercession, and we hope that you get to come to some of our showcases and see the amazing designs that students come up with. When we think about design thinking, we really do think about problem solving with an empathy mindset. So that's what we're working with our students on. And finally, just empowering those advocates and elevating student voice and leadership. It's unique to a TK through 8 environment where students have so many opportunities to be role models and work across grade levels to support younger students and develop those leadership skills. We do that through Stingray Families and many of the diversity, equity, inclusion, and belonging programs that we have. And underneath all of that, something that makes Sandpiper a unique place to learn and to work is the professional learning community that our staff participates in. We leverage our collective efficacy because we know that not one teacher can do it all, but the way that we collaborate and work together as partners across grade levels, within grade levels, really makes a difference for our students. Next slide, please. I'll just go a little bit more into detail about it. Part of our PLC work was really developing with student and community voices a purpose for our school, and that is to empower an inclusive community of critical thinkers who contribute to an ever-changing world. And again, you see there some of the award-winning programs that we have at Sandpiper, Quest Time and Intercession that I spoke a little bit about earlier, the diversity, equity, inclusion, and belonging programming that we have that ensures we have an inclusive environment where all are welcomed and valued. And that really, that best of both worlds or best of all worlds that you have in an Ella Middle school environment where there are strong academics, robust extracurricular opportunities, algebra, improved learning environment. And the research is really clear that when students participate in that kind of program, even if they transfer in later in their school career, like at middle school time, they benefit from all of the things that a TK through 8 environment has to offer. As Mr. Deguara mentioned earlier in the presentation, this is a repeat of that slide. These are the dates. I'll just let them sit on the screen for a minute so you can review those. Sandpiper does have an info night on the 4th. Nesbit has one on the 5th in February. The deadline for your middle school choice form is February 21st. And those assignments will go out for current students. We're aiming for April 4th and for new students to the district, June 13th. Site orientations in August. And thank you. We will leave the Q&A open for another minute or two so you can get your last minute questions in there. I know Mr. Deguara has been furiously answering some of them as we've been talking. Anything that wasn't answered tonight and the questions that came up frequently, we will put out an FAQ to make sure that you have the answers to the questions that you have.
Great. I will just go ahead and pop in. Yes, typing feverishly on the Q&A. I think we answered a good majority of the questions, but we know that there's still some questions that are outstanding. We will work to make sure that we get all of them answered. As always, please feel free to reach out to us if you have any additional questions. Our principals are an amazing resource, and we're happy that you joined us tonight. Thank you so much for being here. We look forward to being by your side as your middle school or as your elementary kiddos transition into middle school. And we know that they're going to have a great opportunity. Thank you in advance for getting those questions in the Q&A. Again, we will post the video likely by the end of this week, as well as the Q&A additional questions probably shortly after that. It will take us some time to get them answered. But thank you again for joining us. And don't forget about the Nesbit and Sandpiper sessions coming up here in early February. Have a great evening all, and thank you.